Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. Right, in today's video, I'm going to have a look at IK Multimedia's Amplitube. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because if you saw the last video, you'd know all this, but I've recently moved and I've downsized my studio because I'm waiting for my new studio to be built. So I'm currently in a spare bedroom and I need to find a way for recording and producing content like this with minimal gear. I recently got a Tone X pedal, and with the pedal comes Amplitube 5 software. So what I thought I'd do in today's video is to go in completely blind and see if I can create a great tone just by using this software. So I'm plugged currently out my guitar straight into my interface, which is a Universal Audio Apollo, and I've loaded up Amplitube on my computer. Right, so first of all, we get a sound like this. Which is actually quite a convincing Marshall type of tone. Now, what I'd like to do with this is to load in Tone X software, or to use the amps that I've modeled in Tone X inside of Amplitube. So what I'm going to do is to go to amps here, and I'm going to scroll down the bottom, and I'm going to click on Tone X. And it comes up with a message and it says, all the Amplitube cabinets in the same chain as Tone X amp have been bypassed. Now, what that means is, I guess what that means is that because Tone X uses a amplifier and a speaker model all in one, or you can use that, it switched off the speaker modeling inside of Amplitube. So you're actually using what you created inside of Tone X. Now, I'm quite familiar to this because this looks like the Tone X software, and I'm going to load in one of the amplifiers that I've captured inside of Tone X. So let's search for Matchless. Now, we have created a preset pack which you can download from our website, but what I'm going to do in today's video is just use the free capture that you can get from ToneNet. Now, when you buy a Tone X pedal, you can download this free capture that I created of my favourite amp of all time, which is my Matchless Independence 35. Now, this amp sounds like this. So it's how I like to run an amplifier, just on the verge of breakup. So if you bring back the volume on your guitar a little bit, you can get a really clean tone, then turn up the volume. And you can drive it a bit. Now, when I do my content or any recording really, I tend to use some effects post the amplifier. So let's load in some reverb and delay after the amp first of all, so I can get the sort of tone that I normally find inspiring to work to. So I'm going to go over here to the effects and click on that tab, and let's find a reverb first of all. Right, let's load in that whole reverb, and I'm going to drag that after the amp. It sounds like this. Now it's a little bit bright, so let's bring the colour back a little bit. And let's try a different hall type. Now that's brought down the size a little bit, that sounds great. Now that to me sounds fantastic already, but let's bring in a delay before the reverb. What I like to do is to have my delays going into my reverb, And I use a very subtle delay normally. So let's drag that delay just before the reverb in the chain. So as you can hear, that's completely over the top. So let's bring the mix right back. You can just hear that delay in the background. I'm going to bring the feedback back. Now feedback is the amount of repeats. So let's bring that right back because I only want 1 or 2 repeats. The delay time for me is too long. I'm going to click on BPM and actually use milliseconds. And let's bring it back so it's under 400 milliseconds. Now that sounds great to me, and that's really usable for the sort of stuff that I do straight off the bat. But what I'd like to do is create a whole chain so I can switch on and off compression and on and off overdrive. So let's load in some pedals before the amp. Now, first thing I want to do is to find a compressor, and this compressor here. Let's drag that right before the amp. Although that sounds great, that's far more compression than I would ever use. So let's bring the compressor back a little bit. Now that to me is starting to sound really, really good. I think the amp could do with a little bit more top end, especially with this guitar here, which tends to have a more sort of mid-forward sort of sound. So let's bring the treble up just a little bit. Now to me, that sounds awesome. Let's move on to an overdrive pedal. Let's click on the pedals again and let's see what overdrives we've got. Now we've got a bunch of different overdrives and distortion pedals here, but let's try this diode overdrive, and I'm going to load it after the compressor. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want the amount of drive affecting the compressor. So let's drag that after the compressor there and hear how that sounds. Now, I'm not a massive fan of that. I'm sort of losing dynamics. So what I'm going to do is change it to what I would consider to be one of the best overdrive or distortion pedals ever, which is the Marshall Governor, and they've called it the Ambassador. Get a really nice sort of throaty sound. Let's bring the treble up a little bit. And I'm guessing if it works like the pedal, the mid on a Governor is very sort of top end focused. If you bring it all the way back, you get a real sort of scoop sound. Exactly as it works. So let's turn that up. A little bit more gain and a bit more treble as well. Now, as I brought in that overdrive pedal, it seems to, or the sound of the effects seems to have reduced a little bit. So let's go back over to the reverb and just bring the mix up just a little bit. So there you go, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, if I don't want overdrive, I can obviously just switch off the overdrive pedal. Now, I think the only other pedal that I'd like to put in here would be a modulation pedal. And what I'd like to do is put some sort of tremolo after the amp. So let's drag that in and let's see if we can stick it. There we go, let's see if we can stick it there. So there you go, I can switch off the trem if I don't need it. Just get my standard sort of clean on the verge of breakup sound. And I can bring in my drive if I need to as well. So there you go, that sounds absolutely awesome. Now before, I'd be running my pedal board into my amp and I'd be using the effects from my Axe Effects system. What I could do with this is to basically do all of the sort of sounds that I would get from all of those units. I've actually got the sound of my amplifier built in by using the ToneX software as well, integrated inside of Amplitube. So it actually is the perfect solution, especially for someone like myself, where at the moment I haven't got all my gear set up. It's all down in the garage waiting for my new studio to be built. So it really is a fantastic solution, so I can continue to get work done while I'm waiting for my studio to be built. Anyway, I really hope you guys got something out of this video. Sorry, it's a bit of a longer video than I would normally do, but the Amplitube software is absolutely fantastic. Now, this isn't a sponsored video. IK Multimedia don't even know that I'm making this video, so you're getting a completely unbiased view of this software, and it's absolutely awesome. Go and check it out. I think it's probably got some sort of demo that you can download and try it out for a certain amount of time. Anyway, I really hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, click on the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.